This is a suggestion via a channel member. Let's jump into it.
Hillary Clinton's supposed to show up tomorrow. We'll see what happens there. But with respect to the former president, he did not show up today. We will move next week in the House Oversight Committee markup to hold former President Clinton in contempt of Congress.
What?
Contempt proceedings against a former president.
Okay.
Now,
Okay, hold on.
Clinton was scheduled to sit down with the House Oversight Committee today as part of its Jeffrey Epstein investigation.
And it's like
That's
but he
certainly
knew
what the
something
committee
and
wanted. CNN's Andy Greer is on Capitol Hill.
I don't want to make myself look guilty type of
This is an
thing.
extraordinary moment that I'm sure will lead to several more extraordinary moments in the coming week or two.
Right.
But what we just
Contempt
saw
of Congress is
from
crazy,
the
guys.
chairman is precisely what was predicted in a very lengthy, very hot statement that the former president and his wife, the former Secretary of State and First Lady, just released a letter to James Comer. Explain.
So, Dana, what we're headed towards next is potentially lengthy and even unprecedented legal battle now that Comer has announced that he's going to move forward with contempt proceedings against both Bill and Hillary
Oh, this
Clinton.
is big,
now, Hillary
bro.
has one more option for her deposition date tomorrow, but from the letter that Bill and Hillary Clinton sent to Comer directly this morning, they lay out exactly why they are not planning to appear for their depositions. And this is after months of back and forth.
Oh yeah, this is gonna hit the history. This is definitely gonna hit like the history books here, bro. So basically, what they're saying here is that, hey, listen, bro, I gave you all of the information I had. I'm not gonna go ahead and speak it for the Congress. I don't know, bro. I think I need to hear your mouth saying the things that you wrote in paper. I'm sorry.
Between the Clintons' legal attorneys and the
You were too
Oversight
close.
Committee, where the Clintons have maintained that these subpoenas are not valid, that they are willing to provide written testimony, and that the committee has even granted this option of written testimony to at least 7 of the other witnesses that they've subpoenaed in this investigation. So why not grant them to the Clintons?
Yeah, but because your last name is Clinton.
Here, and in this letter that
Oh, no, we need to-
that
we
Bill
need to
and
hear
Hillary
you.
Clinton wrote to Comer, I want to read for you a piece of it that just shows the stakes that both the former president and First Lady and Secretary of State understand here. They say, quote, "Every person has to decide when they have seen or had enough and are ready to fight for this country, its principles, and its people, no matter the consequences. For us, now is that time." Now, Comer maintains he still has a lot of questions for the Clintons. He wants to know about Epstein's relationship with them, but Bill Clinton has never been accused of any wrongdoing, and we are now going to see how far House Republicans are going to take this.
Yeah, we sure will. Thank you so much, Annie. And back here at the table, Bill Clinton, the former president, and the former First Lady and Secretary of State, also, in addition to that letter, sent declarations of what they do and do not know to the chairman. So much in this letter because it's pretty long. You accepted the least from those who know the most, but demand the most from those who know the least. To say you can't complete your work without speaking to us is simply bizarre. And then, just as Annie was saying, the rallying cry that they have written in this to Democrats and to Americans who they know want to see their leaders fight, they're clearly providing a roadmap and a place to rally behind.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting.
Yeah, that it wasn't even like that touching, bro. I heard it. I read it along with everyone else here. It's not even that, bro. Listen, I don't know what you're protesting, but you're protesting against the fact that the federal government basically wants you to testify in front of Congress, basically saying exactly, what you knew, saw, et cetera, but then you decide not to. So you're just basically protesting the federal government, even though you're legitimately an ex-president. Guys, listen, the times that we're in, like the tribalist times that we're in right now are absolutely sickening, guys. All right. If you know something, you should probably be saying something. But I will say, though, with the statement that was just made here, it's moderately valid. I'd give you this in one instance here. You're expecting the most out of the people that know the least. That's your perception, potentially, right? You may know a lot more than they know, but that's not the point here. But now, how much of it is the fact that it's also Clinton? All right. Understand the right, kind of like by default, hates anything Clinton oriented. So I think that's kind of, that's why they want to know more, right? They want to paint him, if that makes any sense, potentially. But I still don't care. If you know something, you should probably be saying something. Your protest is moderately irrelevant, and your rallying cry is not really valid, guys. I mean, because again, it's just coming from a tribalist
Interesting
standpoint.
decision. We obviously saw when we did get some Epstein files last month, the White House, the Justice Department made very clear they want to focus on the Clintons. That was a big part of the first initial release. We can expect now the House to try and continue this moving forward. I think that was really the point of all of this.
Republicans on the House Oversight Committee point out that last year's vote to subpoena Clinton and his wife Hillary, the former Secretary of State, was bipartisan.
Okay.
So no one's accusing
So
Bill
that's
Clinton
even louder
of
than-
any wrongdoing. We just have questions, and that's why the Democrats voted along with Republicans to subpoena Bill Clinton. This is the amount of preparation that went into this deposition today. These were the questions that we were prepared to ask. We've communicated with President Clinton's legal team for months now, giving them opportunity after opportunity.
Hillary Clinton's deposition is set for tomorrow, but she won't be appearing either. In a letter to Committee Chair Comer explaining their no-shows, the Clintons' lawyer says, quote, subpoenas themselves are nothing more than a ploy to attempt to embarrass political rivals, as President Trump has directed.
All right, so going forward, I wonder if she also means like common typical court subpoenas, or is it just subpoenas that are for them, right? Because you can't be selective here. And this is kind of why I kind of point out sometimes, like, there are issues with the idea of justice, because obviously it depends on the person who's saying it. But someone like the Clintons, right, specifically, should be fully aware that we do need to, we kind of live in a country that's made up of laws, and laws mean things. And if you say that because your last name is Clinton, subpoenas are immediately irrelevant, then what are you saying? You're saying that you're basically above the law, and I don't really like that, guys. So yeah, definitely throw as many contempt of Congress charges as you humanly possibly can here,
Let's
guys.
turn now to CNN senior legal analyst Ellie Honig, a former federal prosecutor. All right, Ellie, the Clintons' argument here that the subpoenas are not related to a valid legislative purpose. What do you make of that?
Well, here's the problem, Brianna. The Clintons have taken a risk in the way they've gone about this. They could have gone to court weeks ago when they received these subpoenas and made precisely that argument. And maybe they will go to court in the future, and maybe they will win. But as we sit here right now, what we have is a valid subpoena from Congress that says you are to appear on today's date. We have Bill Clinton no showing, and we do not have a court order saying this subpoena is invalid. Now, it seems what's going to happen from here, if
I'm surprised at
Congress
this
does pursue
take here,
contempt,
guys.
is Bill Clinton will then go into courts and challenge the subpoena. But by waiting to do that, he's taking the risk of being held in contempt first.
So they also
Can he be
say they're
jailed?
willing to
Ooh.
certify their draft declarations. That is what the statement from the lawyer says. They say that there are other subpoenaed witnesses who have not had to appear in person. What do you make of that? I mean, are those witnesses facing different circumstances than the Clintons?
Most likely.
Yeah, all of those are fair points, and the Clintons' core
Most
argument
likely.
is that this subpoena does not have a valid legislative purpose. Congress is saying, well, we need to hear from the Clintons because we're considering new legislation having to do with trafficking, and the Clintons are arguing that that's not a valid purpose. There's no connection between what the Clintons might know about Jeffrey Epstein and some sort of future legislation. The point, though, is in the end, it's up to Congress how they want to treat witnesses. Sometimes, if you're a member of Congress, you accept written declarations. Sometimes you accept behind closed doors depositions, and sometimes you insist on public testimony. Congress really has the power there. So if Clinton's legal team is able to get together with Congress and work out some sort of mid-ground, some sort of agreement and arrangement, then they can go with that. But ultimately, the Clintons are not the ones in the power position here. Congress is the ones with the subpoena power, and Republicans control Congress. And as you noted earlier, this was a unanimous, not just bipartisan, but unanimous vote to subpoena the Clintons.
Okay, so 1 second. Two things can definitely be true here. So obviously, Trump could be, in fact, going after the Clintons. It could be a thing because, I mean, again, it's the Clintons. So they're like the, I think socially, let's just say, coming from the right at least, they are the boogeymen, like AOC and Ilhan Omar, all these people, right? You get what I'm saying here? Understand. So two things can be true, but also at the same time, they want to get a better insight because you were a previous president. Okay, you're the most important person that they see on that list, and they want to make sure, in fact, that they have video footage, basically, of you kind of speaking. Let's just say this year. Again, multiple things can be very true at the same time. And who is to actually know? But I will say, though, if it was like a bipartisan, I guess, action right here, then I guess we can pretty much delete the idea of it just being the Clintons, specifically if the Democrats also wanted this to happen. So that means when you're saying that the subpoena itself is irrelevant, was it really irrelevant? Was it really? Not really, because, again, it was bipartisan.
So where does this go from here? If Congress can pursue a contempt of Congress proceeding here, what happens?
So Congress now has an important strategic decision to make. If they choose to go to contempt first, which seems like they're going to do, they do run the risk that the Clintons then go to court and get a ruling that the subpoenas were invalid. If that happens, it undercuts, probably ends any contempt.
But how are they going to do that?
It
doesn't make any
Congress
sense.
can wait till this plays out in the court, and if Congress wins, if the subpoena is deemed to be valid and the Clintons still do not comply, then they can go seek contempt. But important to know, if and when Congress does issue contempt, the next step is the case then goes over to the Justice Department, which has the ability at that point to bring criminal contempt charges.
Right.
That's
Jail.
been done in the last administration. We saw criminal contempt charges against Roger Stone and others. Peter Navarro went to jail because of that. So that is an option. I know it's an extreme option, but the way this works is Congress finds in contempt first, then it gets referred over to DOJ, and it'll ultimately be Pam Bondi's call whether she wants to pursue criminal contempt if we get to that point.
Pam Bondi. You wait a second. So, Bill Clinton, what you decided to basically do is throw yourself on the sword, right? Basically. And the sword would basically be Pam Bondi? What did you think was going to happen here? Like, is that why they have basically said, hold on, we're fighting for what's right. What is right? Congress, a bipartisan Congress told you to come here. It wasn't a full-blown Republican, Congress. They told you to come and speak. You decided not to, right? Like for us regular people, all right, that'd be a failure to appear. That's a warrant, right? Again, stop acting like you're above the law, bro. Okay, you had a subpoena. You should have went to Congress and gave a speech. If that makes any sense here. You were mandated to, all right, by a bipartisan Congress. And then you say in your head, you know what? Everything's going to be, brought down to the DOJ. Pam Bondi's going to look at the case and she's going to say, no, she's not. Are you crazy? Bill Clinton, are you crazy? Bro, you threw that away. That was silly. You're not fighting for nothing. It's like one of those weak protests that happened kind of throughout the country, guys. Like this is wild to me, bro. Right? Like, what are you exactly doing? You're getting yourself thrown in jail for the purpose of what? To then say I'm fighting for the rights of what? For you to maintain your above the law status? Are you crazy?
It's important, Ellie, to note that authorities have not accused Bill Clinton of wrongdoing at this point, right? But as we saw the release of a lot of Epstein documents,
he was subpoenaed.
We also saw photos, a lot of photos that included Bill Clinton, including some where he is in photos with a woman in at least two cases where their face is redacted, raising questions if he's in a photo with a woman who is a known or possible victim, right? And that sort of challenges, I think, what we knew, at least publicly, coming from his spokesperson. So what kind of information would members of Congress want to know from Bill Clinton with that in mind?
Well, I think that's precisely what's animating this dispute here. It is important to note there's a certain stigma to getting a subpoena. A subpoena does not necessarily mean anyone did anything wrong. Witnesses get subpoenas because they have relevant information. But let's be real. If Bill Clinton is to appear for a deposition, I promise you members of that committee, Republicans, are going to slide those very photos in front of Bill Clinton and demand specifics about what he was doing there, who else is in those photos, why he was there. So I don't think the Clintons are under any illusion that that's not going to happen. And I would speculate that that's exactly why they're fighting against this so far. If they were just bystanders on a corner and witnessed a traffic accident, I don't think they would have any resistance to going in and testifying. But this is going to be ugly politically for Bill Clinton, any way you slice it.
Ultimately, do you think he'll have to answer those questions?
Yes, he's going to have to answer these questions. He doesn't want to, obviously.
I mean, it could be that he is compelled by the courts. The courts could say this is a valid subpoena. If that happens,
It's a valid
then yes,
subpoena.
Bill Clinton will have to answer questions. Again, his lawyers are going to push for some sort of arrangement involving written answers or closed door testimony. But ultimately, the courts will resolve this. And if the courts find this is a valid subpoena and it's related to some sort of valid legislative purpose, then yes, he will have to answer questions. The fact that he's a former president, Hillary Clinton's a former Secretary of State, is not going to change the calculus whatsoever here. There's no privilege that survives that
They
long
feel
after
like
the
it.
fact.
Yeah, okay. All right. I think they don't know that, right? Like maybe, just maybe, we should let them know that, hey, bro, you're not a president. You have no presidential immunity, right? And Hillary Clinton, your position is not really anything more than that, than what it was. It's not that anymore. So understand this here, okay? You're going to have to kind of act like a regular, common, typical American. And if you do get a subpoena, guess what you need to do, right? You need to have a conversation with whoever subpoenaed you, basically, right? You're not above the law, right? You're not. But again, multiple things could be true. I want to bring that back for a second here. The Trump team could definitely be looking to do just to kind of get him, on camera inside of Congress, knowing that it's going to be filmed, slide him some images and say, hey, listen, I need you to explain this in graphic detail, what this is here, right? That could definitely kind of be a thing here. But again, because it was a bipartisan kind of effort to kind of get him in, I will go ahead and negate that. And so now what is left is basically someone looking incredibly guilty because they didn't want to basically answer questions in front of Congress because of who they once were, right? Like that's what we're looking at. That's what it looks like to me, right? It looks like you may have known more. And understand this here, when it comes down to like Epstein and like Trump specifically in like the late 80s and early 90s, I don't care about these images generally. And the reason why I don't care at all about a good amount of these images, because they were it guys, right? There was the one that everyone knew that was Trump, okay? Then you had like the financier who was like a playboy, right? Doing all these other super crazy things, but also super crazy things, apparently, later we found out. And that's Epstein, right? But I think everyone kind of wanted to be around these two individuals, and most likely there are probably even more people that are just like that we have never seen in our entire life, where all of the super rich and famous people kind of always want to be around these type of individuals. I think if you were the it guy back in the day, then yeah, there's probably some super weird, crazy stuff. Guys, do you want to watch movies with me? I never actually thought to like promote it over here, guys. But if you guys do want to watch it, guys, we have hundreds of movies, and I mean hundreds of movies that we've reacted to. You guys can come watch them with me if you want to, along with many TV shows. Currently, we're working on the show Dexter, along with Vikings. And we have a lot of series that are already completed. But if you guys do want to watch it with me, the link is in the description. Everything's available at the second tier. But of course, if that's not your thing, guys, don't worry, right? Listen, like and subscribe.